Hey, what's up? It's the normal playing guy, and we have some big news. You have all seen the news, and you've already done it. We have the LR EZAs for the 7th anniversary units. That's pretty bonkers, right? So the good thing about these is when they came out, they were very, very good for several reasons. Absurdly powerful. They stacked. They had additional super attacks. The transformation massively raised their stats, right? It was pretty busted. They came out with 200% leads, right? So they were a big deal. And they were still a big deal even going into the other anniversaries, right? Because, of course, like Broly, for example, as we go through into what it was last year's anniversary, was still effective, even though Gogeta, I still think he was a flop, and Broly, I mean, he was strong. The year before that, we had the Super Saiyan 2 and 3, and then we have the other GT duo. The Super Saiyan 3 duo, Super Saiyan 2, they were arguably better because of the defensive stacking, but they held up really well. So now, a few years have gone on by, and we have a few easy A's. This has, do you know, this has probably been the most hype of the entire celebration. Before the celebration was a thing, people were already saying, oh, these guys have got to be the best, right? When these guys have their easy A, whoa. I mean, this came round on the 7th anniversary, right? Where they did the 3rd and the 4th anniversary units. And it's been going on and on and on. So we'll have a look before and after. I might go into how you build them, but really, we should all really know that by now. But we'll touch in the teams and links. So when they first came out, 200% for Fuse Fighters, Kamehameha, or GT Heroes, Kamehameha. Pretty good. They were good for the guarded all attacks in the turn. You had 200% stats. 1 key per type key sphere obtained. Bonus stats for your first 7 turns. Really good for stacking. 120%, chance to crit per 7%, additional super attack at 20 key or more, which is good because it wasn't difficult. And of course, they stacked attack and defense in either super attack, so it was really good. Doesn't matter which one you get. You could potentially do some like triple super. It's pretty nuts. But now we'll check out the Easy A. So let's have a look. Now in Easy A, remember, things change, but the stats don't. LRs do not have stat increases. So whatever you've got them at is it. Right, so let's have a look. Damage reduction of 77%. And guards, guaranteed additional super attack, 100% stat bonus, and 2 key. Wow, it does a lot. You know how they were guarded for all turns and that was the safe zone? Now they're definitely safe. Having 77% damage reduction with guard and bonus stats for 7 turns is pretty nuts. Yeah, it's only for 1 turn you get the reduction and the additional super attack, but guard, it seems, is for 7 turns. So that first turn, you are definitely a slot 1 unit. That's good, because I don't think we've had a decent slot 1 unit this anniversary, so having these guys come into play is actually really good. Normally 200%, so that's a massive increase. 2 key per key sphere obtained, not just 1. So again, that's great. So that means physical now gives 4. That's pretty bonkers. 10% to stats, up to 77 for every key sphere, so that's new. Chance performing a grit crit goes up by 3 to 10%. That's not too bad because it's common to get 2 or 3. So you're saying you got about a 30% to crit. Okay, this I like. Your additional super attack came in at 20 key. Now it's 17. That's less than an 18. That's less than your ultra super attack, which is handy. And now, previously, instead of 24 key, it's 20. You get an additional super attack still. Wow, that's actually pretty good. So what, you do your super attack, you guarantee for the first turn, so that's 2. This here gives you 3. If you get 20, you get another one, so that's 4. And then your hidden potential system 5. But normally, with 20 key, 4 super attacks is pretty insane. Yeah, okay, so let's have a look. We could greatly stack. Oish! Yeah, I can see why these were going to be like the most hyped units going. Like, it's no wonder people were talking about them more than the anniversary units. I get it, because dude, look at this. We do 4 super attacks, potentially 5, greatly stacking. We have bonus stats, guard, insane damage reduction for the first turn, slot 1 unit. I mean, dude, it's pretty bonkers. But yes, it's worth pointing out, by the way, that the leader skill, what changed, you get an additional 1 key extra for those belonging Kamehameha, not just your 30%. What they've done is, since this was already max, they've just slapped an additional key on. By the way, that means it's a 4 key 200%, which is pretty insane. Which might just be the first. Hard to say. Okay, so he's good, right? Don't get me wrong. You stack and you stack and you stack, and you're going to do pretty insane. They are going to ramp up numbers fast, and it's attack and defense, so their offensive numbers are going to be bonkers. Right, 55%. It's difficult to say. I suppose it's a few years ago. Normally, you'd expect this to be slightly higher. The attack is actually really good. Should you have 1 dupe in these guys, that's pretty good. But the attack, yeah, no, they are going to hit extremely hard. That's pretty good. So we'll check out Gogeta, then we'll see how it works out. So what is before and after? Geez, that was an essay. We have 177%, which went from 120 to 177. You get 2 types, 2 key per key sphere obtained. Nice. Guaranteed, super effective, 30% chance to crit, 50% chance to super, period. This was good. You had damage reduction per rainbow key sphere, which meant that you could have around 20% usually on average, which wasn't so bad considering you massively raise stats. You get a 100% raise to attack and defense for the turn, which is pretty good. And then if you got the additional super attack, you're greatly raised on top of it, which is a further 50% buff. That's pretty mental. I'm curious to see if this changes. 1 enemy, 50% HP or less. So we will see. Or with your own HP, 50% or less. So let's have a look, because I know it was an essay. Yeesh. Okay, so you're getting additional damage reduction rate, so you're guaranteed immortal for the first turn again, which is nice. It's nice that it's good that when you transform, you just don't get bitch slapped, right? 300%. Now we're actually talking. 2 key per key sphere, guaranteed guard, period. No matter what, you guard, which is really good. And oh my god, you have this scouter. Holy moly. Dude, I haven't even... Let me catch up. So you have a 50% chance to crit. Guaranteed additional super attack. Has the scouter effect. Guards, super effective. And that's just normal. There's nothing else. That's insane. To be able to see the enemy super attack bar none. Wow. And the damage reduction's nice. Looks like we have... this is to rainbow key spheres. Now the problem is, if that's physical, if you stack and you stack, and you're going to have a high defensive number, which contributes to high amounts of HP restored on physical. If that changes physical, yeah, no. And remember, you can only collect up to 5 rainbows, so that's kind of bull. Every key sphere obtained, you get 10% up to 100. Bear in mind, if you've stacked a lot and they're physical, you're going to heal a lot from that. So that's pretty good. That will reset for the turn, so that will vary. Your attacks are going to vary from, well, wildly from 10% to 100% of your stats, right? It all depends on what support you can get, because it's every key sphere that you get. Again, rainbow helps chain, but yeah, there can be too much. For every rainbow key sphere you get, you go to 10% damage reduction. That's fine. So theoretically, you can get 50% damage reduction with 50% to stats. Hit and miss. When activating the active skill or with full key, 50% attack, since that's an additional buff on already what is this, that will be immensely powerful. So you have the damage reduction rate for 1. Okay, so this is when you receive an attack. damage reduction goes up by 50%, only if you are 50% health or less. That resets every turn, it seems. So you have 77% for the first turn, but outside of that, you do guard, and chances are you will be defensively powerful, but the other units might just be your weak link. If on the rotation you could still put him in slot 1, and he will have the 50% damage reduction, but only on attack. So hopefully your numbers are high. When you receive a super attack, you have a 70% chance to counter it, period. So was that? Ha! We now have another Tech Gogeta. Finally, it's taken us 10 years to find, well, technically about 7, to get this, because everything else had 50% or even 30%. Right, so you counter when facing one enemy whose HP is 50% or less. Okay, well, that's not strictly the worst. All the most difficult content do only contain a boss, so fine. So 70% chance to dodge the super attack, that's pretty good. So yeah, him and Tech Gogeta are going to be pretty bonkers, right? Okay, so this has not changed, so be it. Ultimate damage and all attacks become crits. I think that was the same. Let me double check. Yeah, it is. So they're all the same. Right. So before I check this, 18 key greatly raised for the turn. No, massively raised, and 12 greatly raised. Okay, massively raised, massively stack attack, greatly raised defense for the turn. Massively raises 100% for 4 turns and disables the next enemy action. That's pretty baller. That was a particularly spicy sausage, right? Because imagine this, you stack the attack no matter what. But like this, 4 turns. Bear in mind, you've been greatly stacking and greatly stacking, right? You're on a 200% team. Hell, you're on a 250 in many a sense, right? And then you get this. Oh, dude. Right, you're guaranteed an additional super attack. Your hidden potential system cookie. Dude, the dude is going to be mental. Bear in mind, you're going to hit freakishly hard. You get 100% raise to attack and defense, but then your attack goes up by another 100%. Yeesh, that is pretty insane. I don't really... Like, what's the downside to this? I guess I'm only being a bit of a critic, but I guess the downside would be no dodge, really. But how have they compensated for that? You greatly stack and you're going to rack up super attacks. You guard, you can see the enemy super attack, so it's not as if this unit's going to get you killed. You see it bar none, so change as quick as you want. If you want to cheese the game, might I just say, pop the fusion, know where the enemy super attack is, quit the game, restart, continue, adjust your rotation, or use said item. So I know it's a cheese, some call it cheating, but I'll take what I can get considering things are very difficult. So, you didn't hear that from me, but you did hear that from me. So again, no dodge, but this unit isn't going to kill you, so he doesn't need it. Yeah. Alright, we'll talk about teams, links, because links are pure attack. GT is a good one though for defense. Now, what's actually really good about that is, it's quite common on his team, which is essentially, GT Heroes? So GT Heroes encompasses, it's essentially Super Saiyan 4, right? Giant 8 Power Super Saiyan 4. So what do we have? The LRs, yeah, going to be good. The new LR, that'll be nice, and they will work with him, very nice. This guy, yeah, this guy. These two can still pull up a fight. Tech Gogeta, sure. He's good when he builds up. Yeah, so GT Heroes is becoming... It's still a very small team, but with the introduction of this LR, and these have the Easy A, might be good now, actually. It's a pretty stacked team. The only real weak links... This guy's not especially great, and this guy, I mean, they're okay, but and this guy needs something extra, and this is kind of a terrible LR. I mean, like, there is a good team that is heavily stacked, but it's still an incredibly fun team. And making so even these two can still put out some pretty bonkers numbers. Right, Lynx. So Lynx GT, you're going to get that fairly obviously as an additional 2 key, so you're just never going to struggle. Shocking Speed's going to be a good one. Saying Raw 10%, that is strictly mainly a well, this team kind of deal. So actually you can get 20% defense, tons of attack and tons of key. That's insane. Who are we going to work on? Yeah, okay, Shadow Dragon Saga. It's a bit of a funny one, that, because it's mainly Shadow Dragons. Yeah, they might need their own category. Fuse Fighters, yeah. Final Trump, yeah. Power Beyond, brilliant. Join Forces, not time limit. Fusion. These are now really, really good options to run in this. And of course, GT Heroes. If you find, off the top of my head, I can't find a reason to run these two, but if you do, it's not a bad team. Strictly speaking, if we jump to these again, what are the particular... really, it's about the same. It's about the same. Again, there's tons of teams. Earth Protecting Heroes, actually, is a pretty monstrous team with that Vegito. Going to be really good. In fact, he's not on Saviors. No, it's not Saviors. What is it called? Anyway, there's that new one that Vegeta has. I'm sure it begins with... It'll come back to me, but... yeah, that one. I'm surprised he's not on that team, but still, Earth Protecting Heroes, he is going to be pretty nuts, right? But anyway, yeah. How would you build him? It's difficult because no one has additional, so you don't do that. So honestly, and since he has crits, right? You have crits here. You have, well, you're super effective against all types. You don't need crits. Dodge. Literally, you could just cover yourself and go, is it really dodge and crit? It might be. Yeah, okay. Dodge and crit. Sue me all you want. But yeah. Anyway, it goes on too long. Yeah, pretty baller this. I can't wait to see what the Tech one does. But it's going to be largely the same, I presume. Especially this bit, right? Anyway, brilliant. You can let me know how you think he fares. You can let me know how you build him. It's going to be dodge, right? Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Have the best. It's an additional 30 stones. So, hey, get your summons in. Hope for the best. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you, and bye-bye.